By the way, look at the top of your headset. I labeled all the headsets when I was taking everything down.
Oh, yeah, I noticed that, actually. We need to change mine. To either the scientist or the technician.
This is WCC right now.
I kind of like the technician. That's
a sick nickname, actually.
Yeah, sounds like you'd like strap people to tables and like be a serial killer. I don't know.
Oh, I thought he was gonna be like strapping the table. And just
Dude, that actually
go
looks
to
really
town.
fucking good now.
It does. So, all right. So we've just come up with two things. I'm now the technician. It rolls off the tongue better than white chocolate chip. The technician could be a rapper's name also. Let's be honest here.
Okay.
All right, so technician, and you now permanently have a mullet.
Yeehaw.
I want that fucker grown out and long as shit by best ball.
Luscious. Should I get a perm once it gets
At least.
a little longer?
At least come over once in a while so I can see the lines where we cut it and keep it there.
You guys are assuming I'm committing to this more than 12 hours when I wake up tomorrow. I could.
If you go to the bar after this and you get 2 chicks, you'll commit to it.
You think this is going to get me the tricycle?
If he gets a dude, he's committing.
Well, welcome to 3-Star Recruits.
You might get a... Oh, you're recording.
I sure am.
Is that one recording?
Yeah. Always be recording, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Welcome to episode 41 of the podcast. Go check us out on 3starrecruits.com. Check out we have another podcast. By the way, if any of you yahoos ever want to join that with me, you have once
Yeah,
to just bullshit because...
I'm all in.
All right, just tell me when you want to do it. I can call you in or something. But some college bets out there today, which I have an inkling that I may have picked games that are not playing today because I was like half asleep when I recorded that this morning. So I think I picked games that don't play.
I was hoping you recorded it last night.
No, I didn't. Not a chance. I was too tired and yeah.
Pick's a pick.
Why were you hoping that?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's a good question too.
I didn't listen to today. I was actually thinking about yesterday's.
Also check out, just check out the website. Daily Fantasy, blah, 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 all that stuff. You know how it goes. Daily Fantasy's kicking ass again. I cashed again last week. It's a good week. Thank you, Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers. That helped out in the afternoon because there's some serious disappointments out there. All right, I digress. On to episode 41. What do you got for us?
Got a little story for you guys.
By the way, time out. I have to say this before we get started, or I'm going to be sleeping on the couch for 2 weeks.
DJ?
How do you like the table?
I love it.
Okay. Shout out to my wife who did this because she did the staining part of it. I did the clear coat. And she said, you say I never support your podcast. You better shout me out next week. I will listen to that episode. So, yes, my wife doesn't listen to the podcast, but she's probably going to listen to this week.
So this even works out better for the gift that I have coming for us.
Really?
Yeah.
I know you got now.
You probably do.
I've got a guess because you've mentioned it a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
just shipped like 3 days ago and probably takes like 3 weeks.
But there's like 7 or 8 coats of polyacrylic on this.
Oh, you could slide right across here.
It's nice, baby.
My only concern that I'm already noticing is I hope that it's not more noise feedback in the mics between phones and cans.
Oh, we got to get some
stuff.
Maybe
soft
play
phone.
on your phone less.
All right, mullet boy.
I say with my
One more-
phone in my hand.
One more of those stab boy and you're off the episode.
Ooh, I'm getting waved.
Don't be excited.
You've got...
Yeah, well, let's get into him first, and then we'll go.
So, yeah, we've been talking about this for a while now. Your hair has been cut since I cut it in July, which we figured out tonight. July, 15th.
Yeah.
When basketball week in my backyard, he lost the cornhole bat. He hasn't cut it since. So
He had a nice flow.
Mm-hmm. So we talked about doing a mullet, and he showed up tonight. I'm like, man, we should cut that. He's like, well, I'm getting my hair cut tomorrow. So, all right. So I ran upstairs, got the clippers. I was like, don't make a mess. I'm like, no problem. We got drop cloths down here. So I grabbed like a disposable drop cloth chair. There's a finished product. How'd I do?
Come around here so everybody can see on the camera.
We should have had him.
This is my, if you're watching on camera, we will give you a full, come over here and like chill with Ross or something. This is like the third time I've ever cut somebody's hair, I think, other than myself.
I can't hear
myself. You got to get the side view, though.
Get the front view.
Yeah.
And the side
Oh,
view.
it's
Business in the front, party in the back. That is...
He's got the curls in the back, the flow. It's stellar.
You don't have to be that jealous.
I wish you didn't have that giant part in the side of your head because the left side of your head looks perfect.
Yeah.
That's no joke.
You're a master of your craft. What can I say?
I mean, I am unemployed. I might as well start my own barbershop in my basement.
I already have a Facebook geotag that says Ghetto Barbershop. That's my account. So if you want to ever tag it when we do this,
Oh, my God.
I don't know if I want to know why, but
He lives in Detroit. That's why.
Wow.
Why would you say
that was just high school. I don't know.
Oh. Anyway,
so like 3 years ago.
so let's hear your story.
So have you guys ever been in the car with anyone you recently met, maybe a parent, a kid? In my case, this was a kid. And you're just jamming to music, and then you realize what song is on as you're singing?
And you're singing along to the words?
Yeah.
Are we going inappropriate? Is that
Like,
the lane that
yeah.
you're taking here?
Yeah.
So you had a kid? Okay.
So we're on the way home from daycare tonight, and I have my phone plugged in, so my iTunes is just playing, and I'm just singing, and all of a sudden I like look at the screen to see what was on. Wheeler Walker Jr.
Oh boy.
Finger in my butt.
Was your
I'm like, whoop, next song. I'm like, oh man. I was just like singing, and then all of a sudden I like looked and saw the screen, and I'm like, oh, that's not good.
Was your kid singing along?
So
No, but so my 4-year-old's favorite song is "Alcohol You Later" by Mitchell Tenpenny. So, and she knows probably like 65% of the words, which is great parenting by my wife and
I wonder if she's going to go to daycare later this week and be like, talk about fingering her butt. Where'd you hear that?
oh boy.
Have you ever been in
Daddy.
a car with someone? Like, I think about like
Yeah.
with your parents, and you're like, oh boy, switch that because you know what's coming.
Yes.
It's,
I think one time in like
luckily, I
high
don't think they
school,
were paying attention, but
in
you
high
never know.
school when the aux cord was a thing. Like I was driving using my dad's car, and I think I took him maybe to drop our other car off the shop, and I was like, oh, I'll pick you up. Or he's going to pick it up, so I'm like, I'll give you a ride. So I had my phone plugged in, and DMX just like, and I totally forgot. My dad like got in the car, and it was like, oh.
It's one of those things like you just, especially when as soon as I say Wheeler Walker Jr., it's not good.
No,
Right from the
there's
beginning.
nothing about that serenades chicks.
I'm just
kids.
surprised you guys had aux cables when you were in high school. I would have thought you were going to say 8 tracks.
Oh my
Jeez.
Holy cow.
Christ, man.
Get out
I
of
need
here.
a sizzle sound next.
Get out of here.
I graduated in 04.
Jeez.
You were still eating like ice cream off a wooden spoon in the elementary school.
He was eating Thanksgiving dinner in a little cup still.
Wood or paint chips off the windowsill, actually.
That makes sense.
So we're not talking much about sports right now, but I have another question for you guys. You and I have actually talked about this. And I want, since the wife's going to listen to this episode, I want to hear your guys' opinion on this. I brought up to her before that she should do a podcast about new parents and do it with Nicole or a few others. You mentioned like, oh, maybe my sister would be interested once in a while, like whatever, calling in.
Nope.
And then all this kind of went by the wayside. And then the other day she brought up to me, she was like, I think I want to do it, but no one's going to listen. I'm like, well, you can't go into it with that mentality. But I think if she plans out the first like few episodes, like from the start, like her first trimester, some other things, then eventually get into like the baby's born, some stories. I think it'd be a quality podcast.
Yeah, and I think if you do some research and start figuring out those hashtags, you're gonna find it. Especially on I think Facebook is the way to go.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of groups on there that
Facebook, at least my Facebook these days, is flooded with women about my age and telling stories of conversations they're having with like their 3-year-olds.
Why don't you just post it to her personal Facebook?
My neighbor that I won't name, she has been posting like conversations she has with her daughter, who I think is like 3, and they're hilarious. I think discussing those types of things on a podcast would probably be relatable stories, if you will.
I love your mom's conversations with your
Oh
nephew.
yeah, my mom posts her. You can see the ones we get in text that don't make it to Facebook.
One quick little thing before we move on, because if not, it'll be gone forever. In the zeitgeist now, there's that term mansplained. I
Yeah.
feel like in the podcast of that, you could have momsplained and have someone like an idiot like me that knows nothing about being a parent
Right.
come on and
Yeah,
momsplain at me and things like that. I think that's a great idea.
It's not like we know how to raise. I mean, it's our first kid. They don't come in the instruction.
There's no manual. I thought that comes out after.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like the CVS receipt. It's just like
Yeah,
come
just
Way
keeps
too
coming.
long.
Jesus.
So, yeah. So there it is. Reinforcements. So, all right. Let's talk about sports. Hit us over there. What you got?
What do you want?
Let's talk ball.
Baseball.
Baseball.
All right, so I texted you guys earlier some potential top 5 free agents in my eyes, potentially where they're landing, because we really haven't seen anybody sign. I wrote down 4 names that have semi-bigger names that have signed already. Carlos Santana was with the Indians, went to the Royals on a 2-year deal, which was an odd deal to me. I don't know how that seems to you, to move from a team that potentially is in a lot better contention than where the Royals are. He's same division, but I think the Indians are really looking. I think they're looking to get rid of Lindor as well, so they're almost in a rebuilding phase.
Which is sad, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
I think they're one of the teams that like baseball's kind of better when they're good. They're a fun organization.
Right.
I think in Santana's case, I don't know what or if Cleveland offered him anything, but I think nowadays there's no loyalty among the players as far as staying with an organization or staying with a winning organization.
Extremely rare.
If there's a winning organization that offers a player $10 million a year and a losing organization that offers him $12 million, he's going to go chase that 12,
Right.
the extra $2 million, which to me doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I'd rather stay on a winning team and still get paid 10 sheets.
Yeah, and have a chance.
So,
I don't think maybe the Indians aren't making the playoffs either this year, but I think the Royals are further back than.
And you'd make that
Indians.
$2 million up in your brand, your personal brand somewhere.
Yep. A couple other quick signings. Charlie Morton signed 1-year deal with the Braves. Stroman, I'm still confused on that. He re-signed with the Mets for a year, but he's still kind of a free agent. So I don't know how that's working. I saw he signed a 1-year deal. So, and then Drew Smiley signed a 1-year deal with the Braves. Who
look that up, stat boy. What's Stroman? Marcus Stroman. What's his contract situation? I think last week they had that whatever day it was that they had to tender contracts to some guys. We talked about Gary Sanchez a little bit. There's something there where you're not really offering the guy a contract. You're signing some sort of commitment to offer them.
The thing I read, it said he signed.
Yeah,
So-
he signed a 1-year, $18.9 million contract.
So
Okay, so that's
a
done deal.
obviously he's a good pitcher, but he didn't pitch last year.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't pitch. I don't think he pitched much the year before he got hurt. He was out. He might have pitched half the season in New York then.
Is that the year he got traded?
Yeah.
From Toronto, New York.
Or I guess he pitched in Toronto, and then he made like 4 or 5 starts in New
That was
York.
2 years ago, 2018.
He played 11 games for the Mets in 2019.
Yep.
He played 21 for Toronto in 2019 as well.
Okay.
So last year's.
And in
2 years
2018, he
ago.
only played
2
19
seasons
games,
ago.
though. When he was in Toronto in 2018, he only played
Did
19
he pitch
games.
at all last year in 2020?
No. It doesn't have it listed for career stats at
Yeah,
all.
I didn't think he even threw an inning.
Okay. Was it injury or opt out?
I think he was injury.
Okay.
I think so, too, yeah. I'm trying to find that.
So
That's a lot of money then.
yeah,
For him.
right. But obviously, if he's trying to prove himself, so if he's getting 18.9 and he has a good year with the Mets, he's sitting pretty probably next year on a 4 or 5 year deal because he's only 27, maybe 28. He's younger, so
Somewhere around there.
so couple free agents.
29, yeah.
29. So a couple free agents. So big ones. The 5 I have, and I'll kind of get in my predictions where they're going to be. Trevor Bauer, DJ LeMahieu, Marcelo Zuna, George Springer, and JT Realmuto. Bauer. So there's been talk. Bauer, Mets, talking to him. I know the Mets have money. The Mets have been linked to a lot of people.
The Mets are finally in a situation with their new owner where I think they're not going to cheap out.
Yeah. Which obviously we always think about, at least I do. I guess I always think about the Mets. They're always linked to free agents,
Isn't
but
it
they
an
never
owner-
sign them.
Isn't the Mets now? And they have an owner, but it's an ownership group. He's just kind of the head of it.
Yeah.
So there's money there. Yeah, Bauer's been playing the field no pun intended, for a while now. Like right during the World Series, I think he was posting stuff right after.
You know, he's been posting stuff about
Travels.
the Dodgers, the Angels.
Posted a picture the other day of him in a Yankees uniform.
Yeah,
so he's out there just
that's what they
trolling
do.
and playing the field.
So
Yeah.
Bauer, a couple years ago, Bauer made the statement that he was never going to sign more than a 1-year contract for the rest of his career. He wants to take advantage of bigger money on a 1-year deal. If he has a good year, the next year you go sign another deal that's worth more money. You could jump around to winners if you want. I believe his last couple of years, he's only signed a 1-year deal. He stayed true to that so far. To me, out of those guys you named, he's the wild card that I could picture him ended up on pretty much 20 different teams.
And
Maybe a team doesn't want him for 1 year. They want him for 2, 3.
There's two teams that I think of that are very close to being good. And one team made the playoffs this year. Is that the White Sox?
Yeah.
And then another team is the Blue Jays. I know they have money to spend, and they obviously spent money on Ryu last year at whatever he's getting, $21 million a year, whatever that is. So I think they're willing to spend it, but I think the Blue Jays signed LeMahieu because I think he's been linked to the Mets, but I think the Mets signed Bauer, and then they go off a real Muto and sign like Mccann or somebody.
The Yankees
James McCann.
if they don't sign LeMahieu, Cashman should be fired.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be in New York.
That'd be the dumbest thing in the world the Yankees could
not
do.
in the Bronx, I should say.
That is the dumbest thing in the world they could do.
I saw a rumor somewhere that his agent was looking around for a 5-year, $100 million deal. That'd be $20 million a season.
Which isn't,
That's
still to
cheap.
me isn't bad.
That's probably a good going rate for a guy that's got 2 batting titles.
Yeah, and that's. But I
I would
guess
think it'd be more than that. I mean,
I guess depending how you look at it, right? He plays second base. I don't think a lot of second basemen get paid money, but at the same time,
Played a lot of first base last year.
yeah, I was gonna say at the same time he's probably played more first and third last year for the Yankees than anything. Because I think Torres and I don't know who was it short.
I think Glaber got hurt.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm looking up Mccann because I thought I saw this earlier. I believe he's agreed to a deal with the Mets already.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So if that, I think, because I think the Mets were linked to Real Muto too. So I think if they went cheaper with McCann,
yeah. So
I say
Mets,
cheaper, but it might give them options with
this
Bauer.
is on CBS Sports. Mets and catcher James McCann closing in on a 4-year contract. He is 30 years old. At quick glance, I don't see a salary number.
Okay. So my prediction is McCann and Bauer both in New York with the Mets. LeMahieu, I think he goes like Blue Jays or Red Sox. I think he stays in that division, but I don't think he'll be in the
stupid not to
Bronx.
sign him. Really stupid.
How big of an impact do you think that the relationship with the players on the team will play for someone like DJ?
I don't think it'll have much because he's only been in New York for 2 years.
I don't think there's any loyalty as far as that stuff goes these days.
In baseball specifically, you mean?
Just in sports.
Yeah,
In sports.
I think baseball's up there with lack of loyalty.
Because Clint Frazier said earlier today that like he doesn't want him to leave because they've built a relationship and he feels like DJ's his mentor.
That guy's gotten screwed
And
by the Yankees, in my
Clint
opinion.
Frazier has big time.
Yeah.
They don't use him, and when
He was a top stud for the Pirates.
When Garrett Cole was on the Pirates, and the Yankees wanted Garrett Cole prior to him going to Houston, the Yankees wouldn't trade Clint Frazier to get Garrett Cole 5-6 years ago.
Yep.
And then they've basically wasted Clint Frazier since.
Yeah.
The Yankees have.
Yeah, I saw Clint play in Cleveland a couple years ago. It was towards the end of the year. He played. But what pissed me off is like he's a young kid, and like you said, he was a great prospect.
Yep.
And then they just sent him to AAA, and then Stanton gets hurt. He comes in for however long it was this year, put up great numbers, like for 15, 20 games.
As soon as Stanton came back.
As soon as Stanton came back. And
He's out of the lineup.
As a Yankee fan, I've been saying for a long time that, in my opinion, Stanton's a waste of money.
Right.
You can find a guy like Clint Frazier to put up as good or better numbers than Stanton for less money.
In my eyes, the Yankees think, if you hit 30 home runs, you're more valuable than a guy who hits 15 home runs and strikes out half.
Yeah. The Yankees, ever since they built that new stadium, they've become infatuated with the home run. And
That
they
sucks.
ignore all other stats.
Yeah.
And LeMahieu is a perfect example of that. A guy that's just won the batting title for him, and they're going to probably let him walk and then end up overpaying Gary Sanchez.
We've talked about this before. And we talked about a lot during the playoffs. Was you don't win baseball games in October just trying to hit home runs.
Right.
And that's what the Yankees have done a couple times, as I've noticed, is they get into they play well, then they get into October, and everyone gets up to the plate and just tries to hit it out of the stadium. I'm like, that doesn't win you baseball games in October. You have to, like you said, quote unquote, small ball to a degree.
Yeah.
You're going to win more games. Look at the guys who've been successful in the playoffs. They just get on base. They don't have a lineup stacked full of home run hitters.
Yeah.
Put the ball in play, put the pitcher out of rhythm. That's how you win games in October, not continuously trying to hit home runs.
And to what Russ just said, I think they won't sign LeMahieu because they want to sign Judge to a huge contract, and in my eyes, it's not worth it.
Judge is probably worth a little more money just because of what he has done for the organization as a whole.
Right, but
you could get rid of Stanton and pay Judge some of that money.
Well, yeah. Well, right, they can't get rid of Stanton for another 2 or 3 years. I think it's 2024 maybe. He's got maybe longer than that.
I think Judge is worth more than he just signed he was, for the first 2 years, he was making $500,000 a year.
Right, yeah, he's probably got his
and he's making
options or the
he signed last
arbitration.
year. The arbitration deal was $8 million for the year.
Yeah.
I mean, not being a homer of a Yankee fan, if I had to pick between Judge and LeMahieu, it's clearly LeMahieu is a better hitter. I think there's a value in Judge with his size.
They got to be similar age-wise.
Could be.
Judge is older than people realize.
Yeah.
I think he's 28, 29.
But there's a value there. It's nice having a guy that's 6'8" in the outfield.
Right.
With a cannon.
Well, yeah, with a 6-foot wall, though. It helps.
I mean, anywhere you go, other than the Green Monster, there's a value there. It's not just as bad. I think he's almost better defensively at times than he is. He's very athletic for his size. He's got a great arm. And, I don't know. He strikes out a lot, but at the same time, I think he works a lot of accounts. I'd like to see some sort of stat, which I'm sorry, stat, but I don't even know if you can look that up without some serious research. The amount of times he works the full count.
Right.
He does that well, but he does strike out a lot. If he hit a few more base hits, problem is he's just so almost too big.
Right.
He hits it off the bat and it's a fly ball.
I just think the strikeout combination of him and Stanton, their strikeout numbers individually are higher than you would like to see, but then when you have them both potentially batting back-to-back in the orders, when it's a real issue for their lineup.
Well,
and the other thing is, historically, these power hitters, once they reach their early 30s, you see those power numbers start going down, and if you're not hitting for average, then all of a sudden you've got another Gary Sanchez, and for a guy that's
waste of money,
6'8" and known for his power, not his batting average, to me it's a little risky to sign him to an 8-year deal or something.
Right.
Unfortunately, though, production-wise in the playoffs, he was one of the few guys that actually produced for them and drove runs in and was successful in times. But to your point with Stanton, I think Stanton needs to go. I really do. I understand he's got a contract there, but it was a waste of money. And I just feel like if you don't put quality hitters around Judge, you can pitch around him. If Stanton's in the lineup, it's harder to pitch around him, but then, like you said, you have the strikeout combination. I think that's why Judge, I think he actually led off some games. He was a leadoff hitter at times.
Yeah. And I think a lot of teams do that. Braves do it with Acuna. Obviously, he's a little quicker and stuff, but he's got the power. I think a lot of teams are moving to that. Put a power bat.
Yeah.
Guy we're going to talk about soon here, George Springer. Same Astros put him in the one spot.
Yeah.
What are you laughing at, Stat Boy? Your mullet?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't want to stomp on your train of thought as far as what you're saying to the Yankees in the postseason.
But you're gonna.
They're batting, going for the fences, and maybe that's not the way to go. I looked up their average runs scored per game regular season and then postseason, and for the last 3 years, they've been a run and a half more in the postseason that they average per game than they do in the regular season.
Is that
so? Would you say that's not working if you're scoring more runs?
They're playing 162 games.
It's
I know it's a small window compared to a big window, but
Stanton signed through 2027. By the way, 7 more years.
They need to get rid of
at
that
least
guy.
at the lowest is $25 million, and that's the last 2 years.
That's wasted money.
He's going to make $32 million from 2023 to 2025.
Put aside production. The guy can't stay healthy.
You're right.
That's his biggest issue. Yes.
And when he's there, he's not. And I think that's the problem is 2027. So probably every time he comes back, they're like, you have to play him.
Right. Yeah, oh, yeah.
Because I remember one time, I'm like, why is this guy in a playoff this past year? Why is he on a playoff roster?
He did.
He spent the entire season in AAA. Like, why are we playing him? It makes no sense. But then it's like, well, we're paying him $25 million.
The deal also includes, I don't know if it's a team or player option, $25 million club option for 2028 with a $10 million buyout.
Yeah.
Which is,
give him $20 million now and tell him to hit the road.
he's due another $200 million or more.
It's good.
Crazy.
Give him half. So here's $100 million.
I wouldn't take that. If you're him, you're not taking that, right? You're like,
unless you take $100 million
Pay
and
me out.
sign with some sucker who's going to pay another $100.
$100 million. Give me $100 million in my bank account tomorrow.
yeah, but
I'll
he's
forget
probably
about
guaranteed 200.
Yeah, but if he takes $100 million and he
Take
signs
$100 million,
someplace
then go
else,
sign somewhere else.
That's true. He only plays half the game, so he's maybe making him out better. If that, I guess.
anyway.
Let's get back on this list.
Yeah.
Screw the Yankees.
All right. So the next two guys are interesting, and I don't know who they're waiting, who the top free agents are waiting to sign for, because obviously we always see that in every sport. Which free agent are they waiting to sign so then everybody else signs? And I don't know if it's, is it Bauer everybody's waiting for, to me that doesn't make sense. Are these hitters waiting for, or all the hitters, are they waiting for Real Muto to sign? But Marcell Ozuna, I think is interesting, and I think a lot of teams, there's talk, is the NL moving to DH? And they said not this year. Potentially they're going to talk about it for 2022, which if
I hate that.
right. Yeah, I think you and I are on the same page with that, NL versus AL. But I think if the NL in 2022, they're going to say, hey, we're going to move to a DH, then it's probably worth giving Ozuna a 4 or 5 year deal if you're an NL team, because starting next year you can DH him, which is what he did most of the time with the Braves this year.
What's their logic behind that, by the way? To move to a DH? Is it just trying to create excitement and think it's boring? That
I don't know. And I think we're in the minority in this. I would much rather watch an NL baseball game because of strategy.
Yeah. I think they assume it adds more offense to the game because you have a hitter hitting instead of a pitcher.
right.
And it also, they'll make the argument that if you have it in the entire league, you're creating, 15 new jobs now
Right.
for a player to be signed as a DH. So these guys we'll use Judge as the example. 6 years from now, if Judge can't play the field anymore, but he could DH for another 3 years, he's still got a job. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think about like Edgar Martinez, obviously back in the day, like how he DH'd for 8 years. It seemed like. I don't know. It might be even longer than that.
I don't know how many
Tomei.
games he played.
Think about how
in the
much
field.
longer Tomei played because he could DH.
He barely ran to first base.
He probably played an extra 3 years because he could DH.
Yeah. So I don't know. I prefer baseball as 9 players. I'd rather see no DH.
I just
a universal DH.
We'll go back to your list, but I've always wondered why don't as a manager or even as a pitcher, when you create your more value to yourself if you could hit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, why are managers being like, oh no, you guys are going to take batting practice?
Yeah.
I don't care if you take it as a group.
To me, there's no reason a pitcher can't learn to. I don't know. You're not going to find a pitcher that's going to hit 300 and 20 home runs, but if a pitcher could hit 220, it's a huge asset to the team.
Even especially in the NL now, a pitcher who can handle the bat and bunt is a huge plus. Because you see guys get up there and they just like stick the bat out there and they hope it hits it.
I just
but
never
back in the
understood
day,
that.
I mean, back in the mid '90s, I used to be a Braves fan. I think about them. Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz could handle the bat like crazy.
Yeah, I think bunting is the thing that has most been affected by the velocity increase in the last 20 years. Because back then, when guys were averaging 93 mile an hour fastballs versus 98 now.
And there's a lot more movement, I feel like, now.
Yeah, I think bunting has the one aspect of the game that's been most eliminated because of velocity.
Yeah, and I think, obviously, even think about just this year, I think in the playoffs there was only one sack bunt, maybe 2 the entire playoffs.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because in the NL, in a normal year with a pitcher, you would probably see 2 or 3 a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like they should. as a pitcher, I'd want to spend more time learning how to hit.
Yeah.
As a coach, I would want them to spend more time because I feel like that makes your team that much better. And I don't think any of these pitchers got to the major leagues and got eyes on them, whether they went to college or whatever, because they just pitched.
Right.
They're probably one time more of an all-around player in high school or whatever. So
Yes.
it's not like
Yes.
it's not like they've never seen a baseball coming at them with a bat in their hand, which blows my mind.
Yep.
So Ozuna and Springer, interesting. I think one of those guys goes to the White Sox,
Yeah.
whether
I
it's
think-
outfield
I
or
think,
DH or what it might be for them.
I think George Springer's almost a perfect fit for the White Sox.
Yeah,
Right now.
it'd be good. And I think I'm hoping the Braves re-sign Ozuna. I don't know if they will.
That's what I was
but
going to ask you is why would the Braves not re-sign him?
I hope they do. They probably don't need him. They also just signed Markakis to a 3-year extension, which is crazy to me. But
Is Ozuna an arbitration year?
no, it's just
He's over
total
now.
free agent,
Is he? Okay. Yeah, they'd be stupid not to resign him.
which is crazy. You think about all the guys that the Marlins gave up: Ozuna, Yelich, Stanton.
Real
Those guys are real muto. They've had a ton of talent and just.
Yep.
And I think one thing that set them back, and obviously it was Jose Fernandez being killed in that boat accident, but
Yeah.
I think that really set them back. But they've had all this talent. But now thinking about it, if he was there, I don't think he would still be there.
They did all right in the playoffs this year, didn't they?
Yeah. They
Yeah.
took the Cubs out, but yeah, I think the Marlins are interesting, but yeah, they've had a lot of guys.
Yeah.
So then
I say Real Muto is the interesting one to me because, in my opinion, he's the best defensive catcher in baseball.
yeah.
still.
I don't. Well, I think I mentioned last week to you, $25 million is what he initially was. I think it was even looking north of. He wanted like a $300 million deal, which is absolutely crazy for a catcher. For any player, I guess nowadays. Obviously, there's Harper and Machado and Trout and those guys, but. So I did a little research comparing him to another guy that we mentioned last week, Yadi Molina. So Real Muto turns 30 in March of 2021. He has a career 278 average. 7 years he's been in the league. 278 average, a 328 on-base percentage. He has 4 straight years, not counting 2020, although he would have been on pace for it, of over 100 strikeouts. He had 63 strikeouts in 2020. 48 strikeouts in 2020. So you multiply that by 3, basically, and he's over 100 again. Yadi Molina, obviously, we talked about, he's a career 281 average, 333 on base percentage, so higher in both of those. He's never had a 100 strikeout season. The most he's ever struck out in a season is 74 times. And he's got 9 gold gloves, including, I think he had 7 straight or 8 straight years.
I'd rather have a catcher like Molina that I don't know what his bat average was, but like Russ said last week, hit 220 and no pass balls.
Yeah, over Yadi's career, he's got a career average better than Real Muto.
Take that
right
over Sanchez in New York.
And a guy that doesn't strike out is
Who gets hurt jogging to first base.
right. So I think Real Muto's, I don't know. My thought was he was going to sign with the Mets, but obviously I didn't see the news with McCann signing there. So I don't know where he's going to go. And if it ends up being another 2 or 3 weeks, because you think about it, these guys got to probably sign in the next 4 to 6 weeks, because we're not far off from training camp in mid-February.
Pitchers and catchers, right?
Yeah, right around usually the first, second week of February, they're reporting.
I wrote that down to remember while you were talking. Do we have a date for baseball though of a return? They talked about doing like.
So I know as of right now the Braves schedule. Obviously, I think the first game's scheduled for like April 9th. So it's like a week and a half later than normal.
Okay, so it's still right around the same time.
Right.
Okay.
Because I think there's still a discussion about how many are they going to go down to like 150 games, just to shorten it a little bit. Obviously, 12 games is 12 games, but just try to shorten it a little bit. So they haven't set a date yet, and obviously not many sports have.
I think if in baseball's case they did the short season, they ended pretty close to right around the same time they would anyway.
I think right around where they normally do.
Right. So I think if everything's all good, because we talked about this a long time ago, I felt like baseball turned more into a contract player discussion with the Players Association than it did an actual like COVID issue.
Right.
That's what they just got too much into that as opposed to like, do you want to play or not? Yes. And that kind of pissed me off because I kept thinking to myself, there's a lot of greed there, and these guys want their money now. It was very entitled, and I get they're entitled to that. But if I was a player, I would have walked in, because I'm not going to have an agent, by the way. I would have walked in and said, listen, I will take more money. I'll take less money this year if that means, and give it to me a couple of years from now, right?
Yeah.
It's not like you're broke if you're making good money. So I would have been that guy. Like, hey, that's cool, man.
Sign me up for a Bobby Bonilla deal.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. And I couldn't believe like how greedy they are. And it's selfish. It's entitlement. I think it's a generational thing too with some of these kids out there. Somebody in their ear, like an agent, like, oh no, take your money now.
I think these sports athletes in general are just so out of touch with reality of the money they're making. That's why I like when we just mentioned Stanton. Like, I mean, I get your argument of, hey, you're walking away from $200 million.
He's probably already made. I don't know how much he's made in his career already.
Yeah,
So,
but if you said to any normal human being, hey, we want you to quit your job tomorrow, and we'll give you $100 million to do it. Yeah.
Because if I'm trying to remember the deal, I think it was like 10 years, like $325 million or something.
It was too much.
Before we get too far off, about the season change that they've possibly made, we don't really know yet. I think that it's a permanent change they should make. I've always thought that they started a week or maybe 2 weeks too early. Like, we would always want to go to opening day in Detroit, and I swear every year, opening day, it's snowing or sleet or something. They delay or cancel the game. And to take 10 games out of a 160-game season, you're not getting rid of the premier games. Those are going to be like that random Tuesday at 2 p.m. game that it's like, who the hell can go to that game to begin with?
So we've talked about that before. The only problem with taking 12 games out and being an ever permanent thing is the record books.
Yes.
Yep. I get that, but what we saw this year was a 60-game season, and it was more exciting than I think any baseball season I've seen because every game mattered. Yeah. So if you take 10 out, it makes the games matter more.
I think what they need to do is, because of shit like that happens, is they need to do a better job scheduling games in the North and the Northeast.
There's enough teams in the South and teams in the North with domes that you can make it possible.
As I said, to me, that is the easiest way to fix this. It's not easy, but going forward, as much money as they spend on stadiums, they need to require every stadium to have a roof. So you could play in colder weather. There'd be no more rainouts, so scheduling contradictions.
Right.
Yeah, I don't like shortening. I get the argument for shortening the season permanently, but I hate it because I always want to be able to compare records to, you look at like Babe Ruth and Roger Maris, right? The home run race with McGuire and Sosa. Well, if all of a sudden we were playing a 140-game season, we might never be able to compare those. Have those exciting races.
And you're right. You're never going to see those chants at the record books.
Yeah. Right.
The
only ones you're going to see change potentially is like batting averages.
Right.
Because you're playing less.
If you took away 2 majors in golf, and 10 years from now, some guy's lacking a couple from Ty and Jack, you'd be like, well, this asshole's only played half the majors.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, if you took out 2 regular season tournaments, you wouldn't be saying that. We're not talking about shortening the playoffs. We're talking about shortening 10 games. We're not even talking 10%.
Hey, golf has playoffs now.
The other thing, too, and I think a lot of, not just baseball, a lot of sports, is there is clauses. You're going to hear about them for football in the next, couple weeks. There'll be clauses in these contracts you'll hear about, like if this guy played in so many games or played so many snaps, so many at-bats, and he's going to want every single chance he can to get those.
A few of those guys on cheaper end have those deals.
Yep.
If this guy plays in 9 games this year.
Oh, this is almost like the ring conversation we had about how many games do you have to play to get a ring?
Right.
But you're talking how many games to get your contract.
Not even contract,
right?
You might get a bonus if you play.
There's a lot of
their bonuses.
75% of the guys.
A lot of mid-level guys will have I've got $1 million
incentive-based pay, right?
Yep.
And if I get 300 at bats, that automatically kicks in a $200,000 bonus or something like that.
There's one
you need Dalton's contract this year. Not that I don't know. You have to go back and look.
He's got.
But there was some.
There's like a $7 or $8 million incentives.
Yeah, He's like $1 million or $2 million and like
But
$8 million.
if I remember, I'm trying to think if it was the Bills or not last year. There was a guy who needed to play in a certain number of games or needed like a certain number of sacks to like get like a $2 million bonus, and they did all they could to get him there, and he didn't get it, but they just ended up giving it to him anyways. But those are things like $2 million to a guy who makes $1.5 million a year is a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, you're doubling your salary.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of incentive base out there, and that's how they think they attract guys to stay under like salary caps and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, what else you got? Anybody else?
I don't know if you want to transition NHL update.
Well, before we do that, this asshole tried to get me in a Twitter debate.
You like that?
He called in the backup troops.
I did.
Apparently, he responded to some tweet earlier, and it was like, what was it? It was like cut bench.
There was a
basketball reference.
start, bench, and cut. There's 3 centers: Joel Embiid, Bam Adebayo, and Rudy Gobert. So I said I would start Bam, bench Rudy, and cut Embiid. And some asshole from Philly decided to respond and say clueless.
So what does he do?
Called in reinforcement. Kid never responded though. I
No.
said typical Philly fan. Am I right, Kyle?
He tags me in
And
it.
he just
I
didn't
said, yep.
respond.
He's been a liability for years. And he is. I mean, that's a good example of, I was waiting for that jackass to respond to that.
Let's do.
I was so ready to I was going to roast this kid.
Hopefully, he responds while we're on air. And we
Dude,
can,
he would have taken his phone back to Verizon and said, just you can have it. First of all, I would have started with, how's that process going for you? And
well, now they're getting hardened, so he's probably getting a hard dick about it.
and they're going to get rid of Ben Simmons.
Right.
And why does Embiid think he's Steph Curry? Get your 7'2" or whatever it is. Get your ass under the basket.
Yeah.
So what some people listening to this, and some of you may not know, is before I started playing golf seriously, the one sport that I did take seriously was basketball. So I do know my shit when it comes to basketball. And you were probably too young to remember me playing in high school and stuff. And then I made that choice after high school, like I don't want to play in college. I just didn't want to. And then I caught a lot of shit for it. I did get recruited by a local college, and I turned them down like 4 times. So I do know my shit when it comes to basketball. That guy,
humble brag.
that guy is
Not a big deal.
yeah, that guy is a liability.
Right. Oh, he's always hurt.
He's always hurt. He gets hurt getting soda out of the fridge.
Because he plays 20 out of a quarter of the games and he puts up 25 points a game. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
And then he's just his positioning, his fundamentals, they're awful.
If you got other superstars, I'd rather build my team at center around Steven Adams, the unheralded,
That's right.
not a superstar.
He does the dirty work.
That dude's awesome.
Does the dirty
He
work,
might be
man.
my favorite player in the league.
You gonna grow your hair out like him?
Maybe.
All right.
Too.
So I was ready to roast that kid.
I had another Twitter. I guess I was on fire today.
I was also gonna let him know that like I haven't touched a ball in probably like 7 years, but I could pick one up and smoke him if he needed me to.
I looked at his account. It wouldn't have been a problem. LeBron said
Boo.
he said we can repeat. I mean, it's that simple. And the guy says I disagree. And I said, well, it's a true statement. No other team in the league can say they can repeat. All right?
That is
the
a true
Lakers are the
statement.
only one that can say they can repeat.
Jesus.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Semantics.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Yep.
Know before you say it.
They were talking today about. I hope this opens up a can of worms with Ross. I don't know what I'm about to say. I hope you go into a straight rant. They were talking today about how the NBA, like you said, they were talking all day about Harden going to.
His nips are getting cold.
Look
He got
at
a
that
haircut,
haircut.
now his nips are getting
Look at that
cold.
haircut,
Putting a
dude.
sweatshirt on.
This is so good.
They were talking today about Harden going to Philly and shit all day. And somebody brought up on a news network that the entitlement, I guess is the word they used, got worse in the NBA when LeBron pulled his little bullshit about I'm going to South Beach. And the way they demand money now and stuff. And the NBA, in my opinion, the NBA is seriously hurting. They're gonna play this year. They're gonna I don't think they're doing the bubble. They plan on playing.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a sport that's hurting for ratings? It's the NBA.
Yeah. So I didn't.
And I don't know how they're going to pay these guys. They got all these TV deals. They're getting all this money. But if you continue to get poor ratings, those TV people are going to come back and be like, "Yeah, we really don't want. We're not going to give you guys the money anymore."
So I texted you guys today, ask if you guys listened to the Kisner interview on Foreplay.
Started to, yeah.
So I ended up listening to it because we talked about it. I think as we were watching the Bills game Monday night, Russ said they had tweeted something like it was a marathon with Kisner, and I think it was like an hour and 45 minutes with him, and it was like 2.5 hours total, the whole thing, because they talked for like 45 minutes prior. But I didn't realize he said that golf is the only sport, once sports came back, that ratings went up.
He said that.
Did you? Which is crazy to me that was the one sport.
Yeah.
He just looked like really surprised when you pointed at him. Like he wasn't paying attention.
It's true. It's true, though.
What I do?
He's like, I did?
I'm just not used to praise, I guess. I don't know.
This is. I'm not going to get political. This is all I'm going to say in my theory. I'm all for making the world a better place, but I don't need athletes to shove it down my throat.
Right. Yeah, none of them.
And I know they get pissed off, like, "Oh, he told us to shut up and dribble." I didn't tell you that. I just want to watch you play basketball. That's it. I want to watch you play baseball. I want to watch you play golf. If I want to listen to all the other stuff, there's other news networks and people I can listen to, or do it in your free time. If I want to listen to you, I do it then. But when the game's on, that's all I care about.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously, basketball, a week and a half from now, and then hockey. Going to hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
I'm assuming you saw that.
On hockey?
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Are you cool with them shortening the season? You said before that they were going to be like a couple of years getting on track, but
I thought they were most willing to push their calendar back a couple years to keep seasons full, but I think they're pretty much trying to get back on track now. But
did they finalize it, or it's not? It's still not finalized, right?
I don't know if it's officially official, but it sounds like they're coming back January 13th. They're going to play a 56-game season, which typically is 82, so they're playing 26 games less than usual. And in my opinion, the biggest news is they have to realign all the divisions for this season. So they're still going with 4 divisions. Because of the travel restrictions between Canada and the U.S., there's 7 teams in Canada. So the 7 teams in Canada are going to make up one division, and then the rest of them based on geographical chunks, which I have those, but it's not worth reading them off.
So the U.S. teams aren't going to play Canada teams.
I'm pretty
I would think they'd have to.
I'm pretty sure they're only playing games within their division this season.
Oh, wow.
So I think there's 4 divisions. I think you only play within your division.
So the divisions are bigger than normal.
So you could play 8 games? I guess 8 games a team. In Canada, obviously, there'd be extra teams in the U.S. or probably 8.
Yeah,
for each in the U.S.
Yeah, right.
So, or one would have.
How
7,
many is normally in a division?
They recently just moved to 7.
So they're
there's 2 that have 7, 2 that have 8.
Okay, so it's going to be about the same.
They're in transition right now because Vegas has come in and Seattle's coming in next year. So the whole division alignment has kind of been altered each of the last couple of years. So yeah, that's going to be interesting if you only play teams within your division. It screws the Sabres. Right. The Sabres now, they basically had to trade Detroit, the worst team in the league, Florida, who really shouldn't be good, and they've added Washington, Pittsburgh.
But they lost Tampa, which is
a
plus, I guess.
I think overall it's harder. They've gotten rid of Ottawa,
so I assume
Montreal.
it's like Buffalo, Boston,
Jersey,
both New Yorks, New Jersey, Washington, Pitt.
So Buffalo's
Philly.
division would be Boston, Buffalo, New Jersey, New York, Philly, Pittsburgh, and Washington. The other 2 are kind of geographical, and then an all Canadian. To me, the Canadian division is going to be very lopsided. Toronto and Edmonton are going to probably run away with that division. I think there's going to be those 2 teams and then a big gap to the other 5.
You think Winnipeg will struggle a little bit this year?
Yeah.
Do you guys like, because I do you like the idea of, especially for hockey, doing the 2 sites for playoffs?
Depends if you get fans.
Like
or
permanently?
No, if you can't have fans.
If you can't have fans?
If you can't have fans, I was fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Last year's playoff scenario, because there weren't any fans, I had no problem with the bubble type situation.
I'm just assuming at that point we're still not going to be able to
Yeah.
fans. So
I think they need to sort through they need to think ahead a little bit more on the scheduling so that you don't run into games that go 2 overtimes in the playoffs, and then all of a sudden you have to bump a game back a day.
It sort of
I think
felt
they need to think
was
about
fun.
that.
It sort of felt like Olympics-esque the way they had it all set up with the bubble and the games just sort of rolling constantly, and you felt like you're tuning in and out in between work just to come back and see.
But
the
I
games.
think
liked it.
I think you could switch it up, even do like, I know it doesn't seem like they're far apart, I guess for us, but they are. Is like have like Edmonton and Calgary host, and then like Ottawa and Montreal. You know, have like 4 cities, so it kind of so you don't run into that issue where a game's going to go 3 overtimes. Now we gotta move this game to 11 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Or if you don't have, you can't have fans, so the arena doesn't necessarily matter. Toronto obviously has the Maple Leafs, and then the Toronto Marlies have one of the bigger arenas in the AHL, which is the top minor league.
Right.
So within that one city, you could have utilized the 2 arenas.
Because the rink size is the same, so it's not.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I assume put an assumption out there, but I assume most Canadian cities have multiple rinks.
I would think I would assume most of them have a second. Yeah. Like
I mean, think about how many have junior teams.
Yeah, Winnipeg, you got the Manitoba Moose that are big time teams.
Love the Manitoba Moose.
That sounds Canadian.
Pretty good, eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Love it.
They're a good team, eh? Don't you know?
The Manitoba Moose. I'm going to see if I can pick up like a hat or something. That sounds
You
awesome.
definitely can.
Yeah.
Speaking of Manitoba
that.
Moose, Moosehead beer, awesome.
No free ads.
I hope someone in Canada is watching.
My biggest question that I just thought of is with these new divisions, the Stanley Cup is always an Eastern team against a Western team. So
They'll just
How
switch.
will
They'll
that-
just go east-west once they get to the play.
it'd be interesting how they align that, or if
Or
you have-
they just take the top like 16, go to a bracket, or
yeah, I don't know.
Or just like a 16 teams and just play a tournament. Best of 3, first round, just play a tournament. Just go all out.
Yeah,
essentially what they did last year, right? I mean, it was still split
still
up into
split,
divisions, but
Yeah. No, just go all 16,
Top
no matter what
16.
you are, and just
Yeah.
play it out.
That'd be interesting to see how they do that. But either way, hockey, my favorite sport. I'm pumped to have that back on the horizon. It's only a month away now.
I was disappointed it got pushed back 2 weeks, but
Yeah.
I enjoyed watching the shit out of it. I mean, I'm probably going to watch more hockey this year than I did last year, but I definitely watched quite a few games when they went back and were in the bubble or whatever.
I know we've been waiting for like news on this, and when the news came, then I fucking remembered to say we signed Taylor Hall. I was really pumped again.
Yes.
I keep forgetting about it because it hasn't really been talked about besides like the 2 days after.
Yeah. So their division's going to be tougher, but I think the shorter season could actually
Help them.
favor the Sabres.
Yeah.
Because they've shown spurts in the last couple of years where they've been able to have 10, 12 game stretches where they've played really well. So if they could hold on for a shorter
Yeah,
season.
because
it might
this will be
pretty
similar. I
good.
forget how many, you might know off the top of your head, how many they played in the lockout season a couple of years ago when
It was less.
it was like
only
40 something,
Yeah,
right?
It was less
So,
than 56 games.
yeah.
I see the
They didn't
Rangers
make
are
the
not
playoffs,
going to
I don't know.
give Canada a Lafayette kid or whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
They're not going to loan him.
There's a few
Oh.
big prospects that have been denied.
Common.
It's not uncommon. Yeah.
I mean, if I'm going to pay him money, I'm going to probably say no as well.
The only real big one is Kirby Doc, who was Blackhawks rookie last year. He tore it up.
Oh,
he
yeah.
is there playing for Canada. That's a big time advantage to have a kid like that on your team. So
Now, aren't they getting ready to travel for like the World Juniors, but aren't they still doing that?
yeah.
So like all those
I
kids
don't know where
are,
that is this year.
I don't either, but can you look up
Where's
World Junior Championship? I don't know if it'll be 20 or 21. I forget how they because it usually goes from end of December into January, so I forget how they year it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where that's located this year.
But they're still doing it, which is like crazy because like
And did
they
I
travel, but
Did I also read correctly that the NHL is planning on doing more outdoor games this year?
they're doing stadium series still.
What you may have read is there were 4 teams, Boston, Pittsburgh, and I forget the other 2, that were lobbying to play their entire season outdoors.
Really?
Because if they were outdoors,
To get a fan?
the restrictions of attendance would be different. Yeah. I have not heard an outcome of that or whatever.
Because
balls.
everybody's been saying, "Hey, can the Bruins play it?" I've heard Harvard Football Stadium was a potential landing spot for the Bruins.
What do you got there?
Czech Republic.
It's in the Czech Republic. Okay.
Is that? I thought that's where they were last year.
No, that wasn't it in Canada last year? No, it was in Finland last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or no, it was in Vancouver. I'm sorry, it was won by Finland last year in Vancouver.
In Vancouver.
Correct.
Okay.
And this year it was won by Canada in Ostravar Arena in Czech Republic.
Wait, so then what's next year? So
you wanted to know next year?
Yeah,
sorry.
it's
you
coming
said
up.
this year, and I looked up 2020.
Well,
my bad.
This year, meaning
2020.
they're in training camps right now, and it's usually occurs between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah, like championship games usually like January 7th or something. Yeah. It's just after, because usually the U.S. and Canada always play like New Year's Eve. Yeah. Like that's the big game.
It starts on Christmas.
Yeah.
And host country is Canada. It's at Rodgers Place in Edmonton.
All right. Canada, in theory, based on the roster, should absolutely smoke that tournament.
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah. Agreed.
Isn't that kind of like watching basketball at the Olympics? Like,
no.
It's been pretty even the last few years between Canada, U.S.,
Finland won
Sweden,
twice or maybe 3 times in the last 5 or 6 years.
Sweden and Finland are up there.
The Nordic countries really have a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, Sweden, Finland, Canada, U.S. has really kind of stepped up game in the last 5-6 years.
Yeah. Are there a lot of young Russians that?
Russia's very good team.
Yeah, Russia's. Yes.
I didn't know if that was a phase they went through or if that was.
No, they're
still
good.
A thing.
Yeah.
They're good.
Yep.
So usually those 5 countries are it.
How about a hard segue? How about that, Josh Allen?
I mean,
I'm guessing we've all got him on a list.
I did not.
I did
because
not.
I figured everybody else would.
Yeah, I don't have him.
I got him covered.
Before we go into Josh, though, you done with hockey?
Yeah.
Okay. So my prediction was, I think Yeezy texted us.
No, I'm not. PGA Tour video game released a hockey stick
What?
putter today.
Did they
the
really?
Odyssey
Just so
one?
you know.
Is that what you've been playing when I see you get on at night?
Nah, I've been watching the shit on Netflix. I haven't played since whenever last time we played.
I need to
I haven't
reinstall
played
it.
in a while.
I'm gonna be playing that again soon.
I'll turn it
Yeah,
on.
I actually just was thinking about today. I'm like, I need to get that reinstalled on my new Xbox.
I downloaded NHL a month and a half ago. Whenever it came out, mid-November. That is sweet.
Let me see that thing.
So I downloaded NHL
it's going in the
November
bag.
14th. I haven't played it once. So
That is epic.
Do you have to pay for it like a skin?
I think it was basically
you
like
got, how many skins you got? 4?
5. Actually.
All right.
I think they just put it as an available club when you're shopping for clubs, so you got to buy it. But yeah.
It fucking probably goes far.
Anyways, all right, now I'm done with hockey / golf.
So my Geezy Texas, my prediction was, he said, how is talk radio going to be or whatever the next day after Josh? And as predicted, I turn on the TV and I got Stephen A. and Max Kellerman just blowing Josh Allen. I want to be like, time out, you two douchebags. First of all, don't hop on. You're not allowed on the wagon. You're not. The two of you clowns are not, because I think it was week 3 or 4. Kellerman was all over how great Wentz was. Jalen Hurts starting this week. I've been calling for Wentz's head for since week 4.
Eagles fans have been calling it for about 3 months.
True,
Season.
but I also saw Eagles fans are like, this isn't right. You can't do that to him. It's like, shut up. You're done. Your season's over. You don't have a chance.
That's probably why they want Wentz in there, so they can have a high draft pick.
Anyway, yeah, of course, we turn it on and everyone acts like they've been all over Josh Allen the whole season, and it's total horseshit. The only person that's gave him any credibility at all is Orlovsky and
There's one NFL guy who's been all over him.
Rex Ryan on
I don't know if you
Sundays.
saw the rant this morning, from a ESPN personality. Mel Kiper went on he was all over him at the draft 3 years ago. He went on for 2.5 minutes, and the host and the other 3 guys, they were doing a redraft of that year. He went on a 2.5 minute rant about Allen, and after they got done, they were all laughing because he was going on. I guess he compared him to Randy Johnson, because one year Randy Johnson walked 144 guys, and then the next year he went 18-2 and won or walked 40 guys. He's like, just because he was inaccurate one year doesn't make him terrible.
That-
And he went, dude, it was
That is the weirdest comparison.
That is
Yeah.
a really weird comparison.
2.5 minute rant about how he's been all over Allen the whole time, and the other guys had nothing to say. It just like stopped. They were laughing so hard because he was rattling stuff off. It was great.
So Josh acknowledged his inaccuracies, which is kind of expected as a rookie, right? You're not going to come in the league and tear it up. So this past offseason, he did an interview or a couple days ago, did an interview with McAfee and said this past offseason, he actually got his mechanics mapped, or they go in and like analyze everything and hook you up to probably, scientist shit. Technician.
Don't look at me. I'm a technician.
The technician.
So Josh said, he goes, I'm in the room with like two other quarterbacks, and they basically measure like your hips and stuff. Did
Probably
you
in there
watch
with-
this interview?
No, but he's probably in there with Darnold, and it did not help Darnold.
So they're in there and they're like, okay, your hips are doing this. Okay, your hips are doing that. And Josh is like, they pulled up my stuff and said, you're not doing it at all. So he said he basically went into this, worked more on his mechanics. He acknowledged in this interview that his entire career, as he had the growth spurt, everything was like just fastball, fastball, fastball when he was throwing the football. And I think we've all seen a jump in his skill level the last like couple years. Fun fact for all of you guys who like to bang on Josh's inaccuracies, I put this out the other day in the other podcast. His season accuracy right now is higher than Mahomes and Rodgers. Right now.
I think he's fourth in the NFL.
It's higher than Mahomes and Rodgers. And I have nothing against those two guys, but I'm just throwing that out there like
Higher completion percentage, MVP.
I mean, I think you're definitely onto something with what you're saying about he's just developing. You guys get on to me all the time about being a young Padawan. He's younger than I am.
I've never used that word.
Well, not Padawan, but you know what I mean.
Can you use that in a sentence?
Don't go kill all the young Padawans, Anakin. Spoiler alert. I'm pretty sure he does.
Spoiler alert. Never seen that movie.
I don't know what
You
he's
ever
even
watch
talking
Star
about.
Wars?
No,
Oh no.
Negative.
No.
you're out. Now,
Anyway.
now you're officially gone.
So yeah, Josh is just growing, and I was pissed off Monday morning. I knew I was going to be. I expected it, but everyone was just like, "Oh yeah, he's so good." It's like, dude, you spent 13 weeks not talking about him, right? 13 weeks, and some guy responded to one of my
We're seeing Jim Kelly on the screen here behind you.
some guy responded to one of my tweets because I tweeted Matt Peralta about
Yeah.
how in the hell did Vegas have the Bills as an underdog? And some guy tweeting was like, well, he didn't. The line opened up at -3 for Buffalo. Money came in. Although maybe true, but why was it only -3? And it just proves that there's no like, we talked about the other night when you guys were all here watching the game. There's no like knowledge of people actually like watching Western football in Western New York and Buffalo. Because anybody with a brain would have noticed that the stats that Josh is putting up, their record, and then you throw in the injuries of San Francisco, that line should have been at least 7 or 7.5, not 3 to open up. And then all the money came in, so the Bills ended up being a 1-point underdog.
Yeah, right. And the money always comes in opposite Buffalo because everybody's like, oh, it's just the Bills.
Yeah.
But they're proving people wrong. And I think the line's changed almost 3.5 points this week already.
Playing Pittsburgh.
Right.
What's the line right? I haven't looked at them yet.
I thought it was 2.5 Buffalo, and I think it opened up 1.5 Pitt.
So Bills would have been, so that's basically the same thing. Money came in on the Bills or on Pittsburgh.
Money came in on the Bills this time. Pitt was -1.5. Now the Bills are -2.5.
Okay. So yeah, money came in on Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So what is,
Statboy, can you confirm that?
yeah, what's the line? I mean, I can do it right here, but yeah, I don't know. I saw it coming. Everyone's just like blowing Josh the next morning out. And I actually said to Haley, I said, if I am Josh and if I'm not forced to, I'm not doing interviews with like ESPN. Be like, nah, I'm good. I would just turn it down and be like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Why do you guys want to talk to me now? Like we were 8-3. They're 9-3 now.
9-3.
9-3. Like, you want to talk to me now, but where were you? Everyone wrote that team off when they lost to Tennessee.
Right.
My bookie still got it at Bills +2.5.
Oh.
Bills getting points.
Correct.
Where is it? Where is it? I got 2.5 here too.
Okay.
All right. So now that you guys know the line, if you were to bias aside, just use some sort of analytics in your head. Where are you throwing your money this weekend?
Buffalo because I think there's a couple potential defensive starters out for Pittsburgh.
One definitely, Dupree's out.
Dupree, yeah.
He's done.
I heard potentially 2 or 3. So
Yeah. Dupree being a big one. Plus, they're playing in Buffalo.
Coming off their first loss of their season, so
they should be far up. But I think Pittsburgh showed Monday they're not a dominant team.
Yeah.
So if I had to, and I probably will pick them this week, bias aside, I would take Buffalo getting 2.5, no question. I would take it either way. I don't think, in my opinion, Pittsburgh was the worst 11-0 team in the league that we've ever seen because there were so many games. I think I looked up the other day in that book. Can you hand me that? It was a number of games Pittsburgh had won by 1 score.
I mean, there's a picture going around. It says like week 1. I forget who they play. It was like week 1 beat this person. Week 2 beat this person. Danny Dimes. Like it just went on like, but they haven't played anybody in their last. Now they're starting to play some teams. 7
games they've won by 1 score or less. 2 of those were the Ravens, beat the Cowboys, Texans, Broncos. So and then they struggled against teams who were. You want to look at and be like, you probably shouldn't have struggled with them if you were as good as you say you are.
I think we're going to see it, right? They play the Bills this week, then I think they play Cincinnati, but then they play the Colts and Browns to end the season.
Yeah.
Which are 2 decent teams as well, sitting at 8-3, 9-3, whatever.
And the Browns, I mean, holy shit, Baker Mayfield last week. But
that team's all over the place. So
they
you
are.
never know what they're going to get.
But either, I mean, at the end of the day, they're still 9-3.
Yep.
And they rely usually on their run game. And I'll be honest, man, Pittsburgh's defense the last few weeks has not looked that great against the pass or the run. And if I had to put money on it, I mean, Pittsburgh is just, in my opinion, squeaked away. If they end up finishing the year out with a losing record from like last week on out, that wouldn't shock me at all.
Yeah.
Still going to be in the playoffs probably, but I'll tell you what, man, they've struggled with some teams they shouldn't have struggled with.
Big Ben just isn't Big Ben anymore offensively.
No, he's not.
And I think the Bills' defense is coming along in these last couple of weeks.
Yes.
They've looked much better. One thing I did do today, and I don't know, I did it because they're playing Pittsburgh this week. I rewatched the entire game from last year, mostly because it was a game the Bills clinched the playoff spot.
How the hell did you watch? Like YouTube?
Yeah, condensed version. It was like 43 minutes total. It just shows literally every play, but it shows like from snap to like guy getting tackled, and it goes right to the next play. But
so shouldn't it be 60 minutes long?
No, because there's time runs off.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. That makes sense.
Math guy.
Not a math guy.
I don't know why I didn't consider that.
But the Bills' defense played out of their minds last year in that game. Obviously, they played, I think Hodges played quarterback, but it was Pittsburgh didn't really run the ball. They tried throwing it, which is obviously odd with having Hodges in the game.
Yeah.
At that point, but that game, I rewatched that game because I remember it was being a good game, but you can significantly see a difference from Allen last year in that game to how he has played so far this year.
Yeah.
It is incredible. Even a couple times they pointed out, I think it was Collinsworth, yeah, because I think it was a Sunday night game, again last year. But Collinsworth pointed out one time he made a throw, he stepped forward and he threw the ball to the right, and it was like 5 yards short. He's like, he's just not stepping into it, and I don't think you see him do that much this year.
He's using his hips. We've
Yeah.
learned that. It's all in his hips now. It's all in the hips. Yeah, I think Pittsburgh is, unpopular opinion on the Steelers fans. Dan, sorry, buddy. They've got away with quite a few games this year. I mean, Dallas was a head scratcher. They squeaked that one out. They had to come back and win that game. So, I don't know. They're gonna. We talked about you can't pick your schedule. They've played a weak schedule. You can't pick your schedule. That is what it is.
Yes.
But there are teams on that schedule who you probably should have beat by 2 touchdowns or more, and you didn't.
Yeah.
And
Like
I understand you got to play the game, but as good as your off, I mean, the weapons that Roethlisberger has, and as good as that team is, like you almost lost to Dallas.
Yeah, they struggle against them. Even like Dallas hung in a little bit with Baltimore last night, but in the end, Baltimore ended up pulling away.
Well, you can't miss 3 field goals and give up a garbage touchdown.
It's true. I thought I was going to miss the over, and that because those field goals, but luckily it pulled out.
Anyway, Yeah, Josh looked good. I hope they win this week. Dolphins got a tough one, which could be a separator this week if the Bills win. Dolphins
if the Bills win this week, Dolphins lose. The Bills, if the Bills beat the Broncos next week, they clinch the division.
Right. So they're a game and a half up right now, right?
A game. Well, a game because they own the tiebreaker.
Yeah, they beat the Dolphins first.
Yeah. No matter what, they own the tiebreaker, and Bills and Dolphins play last week of the season. But even if the Dolphins end up winning that game and they end up tied, the Bills win the division.
Based on
AFC records.
Okay.
Or division record, I think.
Division record. Okay. All right. Well, sweet. What else you got, buddy?
What do you guys think about? We talked about it a little bit, but Greg Williams obviously got fired from the Jets.
Did I text you guys mid-game? Like, when it happened, I was like, I texted you.
Yeah, you were texting when that happened.
And I said, my first thing I said to you was that they just came out in man-to-man defense. There's 12 seconds left. That ball's going to the end zone.
Yeah.
And then a defensive back bit on a crossing route.
Yeah.
And they sent an all-out blitz.
Yeah, obviously, Greg Williams is known for blitzing a lot, but holy cow, dude.
All-out blitz. And
in my opinion, he did the Jets a favor, right?
He did.
He sent the blitz to potentially secure the first draft pick.
Let me see. I thought I screenshotted it, but no, I didn't.
And
but
what we've talked about is, how is Gase still there?
Oh, my gosh.
But
they fired defensive coordinator.
He's not going to be there by the end of the year, but
he's still there because they're okay with losing in this to get into this draft.
Yeah.
So why do you fire Greg Williams?
Because
it was too obvious?
Yeah. Yes. 100%. Yes.
Save face a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say that draft pick is pretty secure.
Actually, if they win a game, like they jump to like the third pick in the draft.
How?
Or second. The Jaguars actually would take over.
The Jags only have one win.
The Jaguars would take over that first pick.
And next closest is Cincinnati, who has 2 wins. So
either way, the Jaguars are taking a quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to take Fields or Lawrence, whoever pick they have.
Right.
Yeah, they came out all out blitz, man coverage, guy bit on a double route. I'm like, where did you think that ball was going?
The only person I was thinking about that whole time is you. I said, oh, shit, Kyle's losing his bet.
Yeah.
And they throw that. I'm like, oh, shit, he's still alive.
I still got the 0-16 bet going.
yeah.
It's the greatest pass Carr's thrown out here. But I saw a quote from Carr. It said, when I saw them all out blitz, I can't remember what the exact quote was. He was like, I was so excited.
Well, yeah, and you got Ruggs, who is a speedster. You just throw it down there, and even if he dropped, I forget what down it even was. If he drops it, I think you have a couple seconds to throw another one.
Or you get a penalty and you're
right.
Run another play.
But Ruggs is so fast, it's not.
I could have called that defensive play. I'll take it from here. Hey, everybody on the goal line, all right?
Yeah.
No.
Or just drop back and
all out blitz.
I don't know.
Well, even I think it was last night, the last play of the game, I think the Cowboys threw a Hail Mary at the end of the game.
No. I saw it this morning. The Cowboys did a run play the last play of the game because someone wrote, typical Cowboys, game's out of hand, and they handed off to Pollard for like an 8-yard run.
I don't know what game it was then. Maybe it was Sunday. I don't remember who played Sunday night. Maybe it was Sunday night. Somebody threw a Hail Mary, but there was literally one guy rushing. They dropped everybody back and only one guy rushed. And he was going balls to the wall. And there's just 5 linemen just blocking one guy. It was great, but
smart strategy and defense. Right. I mean, the Bills lost the game because they did it wrong once. And then
they almost blew it again against the Chargers.
Chargers, yeah. Yeah. I just don't understand. Well, they actually caught that pass.
Right, yeah.
The Chargers caught that pass, but yeah. Oh my gosh, man. Anyway, you guys got anything else? Want to get into the stars this week?
Yeah.
Stars?
Sure.
One before we get stars, Ohio State is playing in the Big Ten championship. The Big Ten changed their rules because they weren't going to get a team in the playoffs. So, we better change our rules. So now Ohio State's playing Northwestern, I think, for the Big Ten title, which is crazy because obviously it's only because they weren't going to get a team in the playoff. They're like, we need somebody, so we'll get rid of what we said.
But which, by the way, I was listening to a game the other day, college game, and I can't remember who they were talking about. They said this guy's one of the front runners for the Heisman. Lawrence was not referenced. Is he kind of out of talk because they haven't played a lot of games and he sat out?
He's played more than most teams, most guys.
Yeah.
Has he? Didn't he miss 2 games?
He missed 2 games,
but they've played 10, 11 games.
Yeah,
have they?
I think he's played 8 games.
Has
so.
he? I didn't remember, but
he's still got ACC title game.
Yeah,
which I think they vote right after that. But
there's no way he's not at least in the conversation.
Yeah, I just didn't know how many games that they had played or.
Yeah, because there's talk now that ACC and SEC title games potentially Clemson Notre Dame would play, and then Florida Alabama would play SEC title game. If like Florida wins SEC title game, those 4 teams are probably in the playoff and could potentially play each other again. Like the SEC teams could play each other, and the ACC teams could play each other. A week and a half later.
Isn't the only team that's kind of like on the edge right now is Texas A&M?
Yeah, I don't think A&M is going to get in because they're not in the SEC title game because they're behind Alabama.
Gotcha.
But I think Ohio State's the big factor, right? Yeah. They should beat Northwestern, but I don't know. It'd be tough. If they wouldn't have played this week at all, which I would have liked them to make up a game and have Ohio State play like Texas A&M this week, because I don't think Texas A&M's game got canceled against Mississippi.
Yeah, let them play.
BYU and Coastal Carolina did it last week.
Yep. It's happening in college, too, so for basketball. So, all right, let's get into stars. I'll go first. My third star of the week is Cole Beasley. 9 catches, 130 yards, and a touchdown. I believe that was a career high for him in yards. I believe
you want to give your wife a shout out. The stat she gave us during the game. He now has the most touchdowns for a receiver under 5'8".
That is a stat I forgot about. I didn't remember that. Don't tell her. Don't worry. She won't listen to the podcast this far in.
Yeah, she just listened the first 5 minutes and heard it.
Before we move on, this is just recall from we were talking about Stroman, right?
Yeah.
He's one of 6 pitchers in the 21st century to play in the MLB that's 5'7" or under. And actually the stat was there's only 6 people under 5'10". I think he's one of 3 that's 5'7" or under. He's 5'7".
I don't believe that stat.
I don't believe that either. The second part of that.
That was MLB.com.
How many at 5'10" or under?
Pitchers?
6.
Pitchers?
In the 21st century, there have been 6 pitchers.
Pitchers.
Oh, pitchers.
Sorry,
You said
I
players.
should
You said players.
have said pitchers.
All right.
Yes.
Because I was like, I can probably think of like
But
6
still,
or 7 guys off
that's
the top of my head.
Remarkable to me to think that someone with that much less reach could still generate those speeds.
Yeah, he still throws 95, 96. So
6 pitchers at 5'10" or under.
In the 21st century.
Yeah.
the last 10,
20.
Oh, 1 year. Yeah.
What?
1 year? 20 years?
Yeah. Don't. Cancel that.
All right, we can continue on to stars again. Sorry about that.
Edit that out, please.
Yikes. My third star, Jordan Leavitt. He is the UFC fighter, had that body slam knockout the other night against
I was just texting you
Matt
guys.
Wyman.
Yeah.
It was only about 20 seconds into the fight. Did you see the replay of that?
I did.
That was awesome. Did you?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I'll have to
We'll
show
get
you
it
that
to you.
afterwards.
Yeah, send it to me.
Yeah.
Just
body slam knockout.
Somebody showed a picture of it, and they said he was like half out when he was going down. And I'm like, I don't understand how he would have been half out going down.
No.
Nothing had happened in the match.
He was
Pass out
trying
from
to-
altitude. No.
Yeah. He was trying to decide if he should put his legs down and try to stop it. He was not out.
Yeah,
Going down.
somebody posted, they're like, he looks out.
No.
And it was like, he was probably like 3 feet off the ground. I'm like,
False.
how the hell was he out?
False.
No punch had been thrown.
Get into a Twitter beef with them because that's false.
Yeah. All right, we'll
If you,
fight.
if you
We'll
need
fight.
me, let me know.
All right, we'll fight. So my third star, I'm going to go, I got 2 third stars for a similar reason. One just happened tonight. One, Washington football team, knocking off the Steelers, knocking off an undefeated season, and the Niagara Purple Eagles hockey team, knocking off number 7, Clarkson, tonight, 4-1.
Ooh.
Red Rocket, you're on notice.
Oh, boy.
That Red Rocket. Yeah.
Gonna throw some clubs now. Dig into that bag.
Which, by the way,
He's going to get PJ Tour, get that hockey stick putter and break it.
first thing that I got a chance to see before the Washington Steelers game. Instantly pissed me off. Pam Oliver. We got 2 quarterbacks who are in contention for comeback player of the year. No, we don't, Pamela. We've got one who's already got it wrapped up, and it's Alex Smith. He's comeback player of the fucking century. Are you kidding me?
Kisner called him the comeback player of NFL, the entire NFL ever.
I don't disagree
History.
with that. And I'm like watching. I'm like, no, he's not. The guy had elbow surgery. Like the other guy had 17 surgeries, went septic, and almost died. They actually, Allie just sent me this. They said whenever someone says Ben Roethlisberger should be comeback player of the year, show them this. It's Alex Smith's leg in the halo.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You seen this?
That's a lot of screws.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
Anyway, my second star. Victor Hovland for his second PGA Tour win. 20 under par. I'm glad he won just because I like him keeping his name in the mix for that young group there with Matt Wolff and all of them. I'm just glad he's staying successful.
Speaking of, what do you guys think about that trophy? That is one of the worst trophies.
Looked a lot like some turds I've come across in the forest.
Didn't see it.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
It's like a lizard, but the tail's like wrapped up on it.
No, it looks like a piece of wood with a big ceramic turd that dangles kind of off the side.
Dude,
it's bad. Like
it's one of the worst trophies I think I've ever seen. Yeah,
I'll look it up.
Check
while
out the
you're
old
doing stuff.
Mayakoba.
All right.
And I don't disagree with the star, but we noticed, I think, was it PGAtour.com or something had shared a stat that winning that tournament is sort of a curse. Anybody that's won that tournament hasn't gone on to win other tournaments.
No, you said the Puerto Rico.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. I take it back.
Yeah.
So is he the one that broke that curse?
He broke it.
Correct. Nice. So that's double stars then if he finally broke the 10-year curse.
That's why he was his second star.
Yeah.
Oh, for breaking the curse. I thought it was just in general that he
No, you said
got a
double.
second win.
You said double star, and he's second star.
Roger.
Roger.
Semantics.
Thanks, scientist.
It's technician to you, sir. My second star, I don't think we've talked about him on air, but we've shit on him a lot off the air. So I'll give a shout out to Tyler Bass, the Bills kicker.
Yeah.
He has pretty much completely turned his season around because I think after week 3 or 4, we were all ready to drive to Buffalo and hand him his walking papers.
Gotta love that Bass.
I had his bag half-packed one week.
Yeah, and this week he surpassed the most points ever by a Bills rookie and or first-year player. So a non-rookie who came to the Bills.
Gotcha.
So rookie or first-year player has the most points ever for the Bills. So.
All about that Bass.
That is a terrible trophy, by the way. There's no definition to it. Even if you zoom in, there's
It
looks like a trophy they left out in the sun and it melted.
And it's awful.
It's not good.
Whoever made that had other shit to do that day.
Yeah, it's not a good looking trophy.
Oh wow.
He's probably like, I'm not. Why did I win this? Now I have to come back next year.
That is a the more I look at it, the worse it gets. It's like on a 2x4.
It's like somebody shot a woodchuck and they're like, here, let's just throw this on there. It'll look good.
It looks like a petrified cat.
I would just
and the nameplate's like off center because of the shit's hanging over. That is awful. No way.
I would just put my bank statement on the mantle instead.
Yeah. Can I get one of those big checks, please?
Speaking of bank statements, so as I was listening to Kisner interview, he goes after he won like $700,000 at the Sea Island there tournament. He lost in the playoff a couple weeks ago, and he goes I texted Riggs, said, guys, it's WAD Wednesday. He goes, what the hell's that? He said that's when the direct deposit comes in for the checks. He said we just call it WAD Wednesday. So he goes, oh, I texted Riggs, and he goes, then I took a screenshot of my bank account, was going to send it, and he says, better not do that. That'll be all over social media. I don't need that. Then he said his, Brittany, I don't know, I don't think it's his wife. It must be, his manager or whatever. He's like, they're like, oh, when's Dewey get his check? He's like, well, whenever Brittany writes a check. Said, well, that's kind of awkward. Is Dewey, 2 days, on, Friday, he's like, have you wrote that check yet? I'm waiting on that.
He said I did see he told his team before Detroit.
Rocket Mortgage.
Before the Rocket Mortgage, he said he was just disappointed how he was playing. And he told his team before the tournament that he was going to make $3 million from here on out, and he made 3.2. Not bad.
So because I asked him how he thought his year was, and he said He said, well, I made $200,000 more than I said it was, so successful.
Yeah.
Who's up?
Adam in second star.
My second star is Aaron Rodgers, getting to 400 touchdown passes.
He's my first star.
Quickest ever, 193 games. So a couple other stats for you. Do you guys know how many guys have thrown for 300 touchdown passes in the NFL?
No.
It surprised me.
300 touchdown passes. 16.
Close. 12. I thought it would be more than that. But then when you think about it, 300's a lot.
Yes.
Most guys average 20 to 25, probably. I don't know what the average is. But 300's a lot. And, yeah, there's only 7 guys that have hit 400. On this list, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 active guys that have thrown for 300.
What's Brady and Breeze at?
He's up 4 now because Breeze has been hurt. 569 to 565.
Okay. I knew
then
that was
there's
back and forth.
Peyton was up there, and Favre, Marino, Rivers, Rodgers are those top 7. So, and I also looked some up, and we talked about this earlier with baseball playing for one team. The top 35 guys on the list for touchdown passes in a career, 11 of them played for one team.
Interesting. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, Rodgers was my first star for the same reason. For 400 touchdown.
And obviously, you already mentioned Josh Allen. He's my first star. 375 yards, 4 touchdowns this past week. And the first Bills player ever to be named Offensive Player of the Week 3 times in a season.
Ooh. Good stat right there. Good stat.
Should be 5 by the end of the year. My first star is another combined star. Played for the same team. Quarterback for Arkansas State, Lane Hatcher, was 11 of 14 for 326 yards and 5 touchdowns. That's not even the greatest part. His receiver had 9 catches for 310 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Jesus.
Which is a freshman NCAA record, 310 yards. The record's like 405. But, yeah, so the quarterback had 11 completions. The receiver had 9. 9 for 310. They won like 48-10, but, yeah, he threw the ball 14 times.
So to put that into perspective, Lamar Jackson had 12 completions last night for 100 yards.
Right.
You got a star? You got a dud over there?
Yeah, I have a star. It's nothing specific that's happened. It's been a noticeable shift, I think, in the last few years, being a Bills fan. My star of the week is Sean McDermott.
That fucking hair's awesome, by the way.
I keep, at my
You
angle.
look like a unicorn. You're like just, I can't even look at you.
At
It's
my
blind.
angle, it looks like a nice haircut. And then I remember there's that waterfall in the back that I can't see from here.
We'll get there. It's just been nice. Sorry. We can talk more about my hair in a minute. If you
How
want.
come I wasn't the star for cutting his hair?
I don't have to go into it deep. I think we all agree
Better be
Sean
careful.
McDermott can be
Yes.
a star of the week.
Yeah, you better be
I love to
careful.
see it.
You might be the dud next week.
No, my dud of the week, and I'm actually going to come around the table. That's why I'm going to take my things out.
Oh, he's coming over here. I was wondering why he's stretching out the cable.
My dud of the week, I think I can make it onto camera, is people who pay for haircuts instead of getting this luscious look. This is my second haircut by Kyle Crane. I haven't had a haircut since May 15th. In May.
July.
July.
July 15th.
You said May.
I haven't paid for
Oh,
one since
all right.
May.
Okay.
So you gave me
Oh.
one in July, but why waste your money?
I haven't paid for a haircut in 20 years.
I don't think I've ever paid for a haircut.
Good dud then.
Yeah, it is. So, yeah, you're right. They're all chumps.
You do pull that off, by the way.
You do. I like it.
Even though he cut the sides, you still have a lot more combined hair than the 3 of us.
You got better hair than Bryce Harper.
I wouldn't go that far. Maybe when you put the Vanilla Ice lines in it, then we'll talk.
Oh, we're doing that?
Oh,
I'll wait for feedback. We'll wait for some feedback.
Ice, baby.
Oh,
I'll give you feedback right now.
The comments are coming in already. They
Yeah.
want you to do it.
Are they females?
Yeah. You know who would love you to do that? I heard. She just texted me. Paulina. She
Okay.
said if he cuts those lines in his hair,
Yeah.
I almost made a really tasteless joke, so I think it's about time we wrap this sucker up.
All right. Well, then I guess that's it. Real quick, if you've listened to this far into the podcast and you leave a comment either on Apple or Spotify and YouTube, leave a comment. I will send you a hat. I'll give one hat away.
Ooh.
If you've listened this far
I
into
like
the
it.
podcast.
Anything for more interaction.
If you leave a comment, I will reach out to you, and then we'll find a way either through Twitter or social media to get your information. I will mail you a hat.
And I'll look like a baller.
Yeah. All right, boys.
Shot collar.
Till next week.